Hi, folks. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're joining us from. And welcome to this new episode of the Rise Up Radio with Katie Greenwood. Katie, welcome to yet another session with you today.
Thanks for having me.
So, folks, with Katie so far, we have discussed a lot about building an L&D strategy, building L&D programs. And in the past three episodes, we have looked at a lot of things and gone into a workshop mode, right? And today, we are going to go deeper and build an actual L&D program, right? So, this is something that you can take away. And not only the presentation, but we'll have a very cool program template in the end that you can actually download and implement your own L&D programs based on that. So, Katie, are we set to get rolling?
Absolutely. Thanks so much. And hi, everyone. Looking forward to diving into a topic really close to my heart. And we're really going to unpack how to build something really impactful that truly makes a difference. And we're going to dive into letting you know that you can do this yourself right after this session with our template as well.
Awesome. Cool. So just a quick recap, so far we have seen how to build an L&D strategy that ties with your business objectives. We've also looked at how do you design and evaluate these programs. And today we're going to go deeper into designing one particular program. And we're going to take an example of building an L&D program for leaders. So
Ooh,
Katie, what do you think?
yes, sounds good. What program would you like to build in our workshop?
I was thinking building maybe a manager effectiveness program for new managers.
Let's go. Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Because I think managers are critical, especially new managers, right? If you look at
Yeah.
them, they're typically ICs who get graduated to manager role, and when they graduate, but nobody told them what to actually do in that role, right?
Yeah,
And they
exactly.
become
They didn't learn in
critical.
college, right?
Absolutely. They become critical to the organization's success, and good leaders and good managers are the ones that propel the teams forward. But
Mhm.
bad ones they pull them back, right? So
Yeah.
companies can't afford bad managers at the lowest level. Well, they can't afford it in any level, but
No.
even more so at the young level, right?
Absolutely. I love that you say they graduated from individual contributors into managers. Oftentimes, over my career, I have seen that oftentimes managers will become managers because of time, not because of
Yeah.
experience of managing people. And managers are critical in the pivots of your team growth and retention. So new managers need handholding and support, and it's one of my favorite programs to build. So this will be fun.
Awesome. Well, folks, Katie and us at Wisely, we've collaborated and built this program which brings the best of both worlds. So we're going to unveil that today by going through these seven steps together with you. So we are going to talk about the objectives of what this program could be. How long should this program be? Who's the intended audience for such a program? What should be a typical structure? And what training modes or approaches you could take, and then designing the components, and then obviously, very importantly, like we saw in the last session, measuring the impact, the ROI,
Absolutely.
uh, right? So, Katie, I'm
Numbers are
going to
your
jump right
friends.
into it. I'm going to jump right into it, right? Let's talk objectives. So,
Okay.
a manager effectiveness program for new managers. What are the objectives, sir?
So I want to think about it in two parts, right? The first is what's in it for the managers. Number one, we need to support them through leadership challenges, especially new managers or managers that really haven't had this opportunity to learn what good really looks like, right? These programs are going to provide access to coaches and mentors, and that's going to really help not only for the building up competency, but also confidence, right? It's also going to help. Those coaches will give them accountability, guidance. As you're learning, you need to figure that out, right? So managers are going to gain a clearer understanding not only of their role, but also the skills that they're going to need to thrive now and moving into the future. Plus, what I love about these programs is it's going to access some growth opportunities. both in the classroom, but also I love it for the network of peers that they get to also be a part of that they may not have been able to connect with in the organization
Totally.
before, where they get to discuss real world scenarios, talk about their, oh, me too moments. And, they're not going to find that anywhere else because they're constantly moving and grooving.
Yeah, yeah.
So the second thing I want you to think about is tune in that radio station to what's in it for your company. Okay. A
Mm-hmm.
strong leadership pipeline is going to ensure employees are ready to step into key roles. And that could be today, that could be 6 months, that could be years from now, but you need to be ready at that moment. So really think about it as team performance improves as managers lead by example and coach for success along the way as the business moves. Effectively, managers boost the company's reputation as a great place to work, right? If you go on Glassdoor, that's a big place for people to take a look to see how people and managers are. People are looking for that, right? As they want to come into your company. So it's really a true win-win. When you invest in your managers, you're going to invest in your team as well as your organization's future.
Totally. Totally. Well, awesome. So, we have a very clear motivation for designing a manager effectiveness program for new managers, right? Let's basically get down to the nitty-gritties now, right?
Okay.
What is the typical duration of such a program that you would recommend, or what is the ideal duration that you could think of?
Well, this is an interesting question because it really depends on the organization's needs, priorities, and whatnot.
Okay.
So I almost look at it like the three little bears, it could be small, medium, or large. So the length of a manager effectiveness change of like a program can really change based on things like how many people are in the group, what's the company's schedule, the way the training is done, right? Do you want to have it in classroom? Do you want everybody to get together? Do you want the things to be virtual, coaching, hands-on practice? There's a lot of variables that make this up. Let me give you an example. If you have 5 managers, they're brand new, they're all having trouble delegating tasks, we might want to start with just a small learning cohort, a small pod in a classroom so we can teach them the basics.
Right.
And after that, we can do some one-on-one coaching to help them with very specific spot program, problems throughout different programs. We can also add in things like role-playing activities, and that could be one-on-one with a practitioner, or it could be with their manager and their supervisor where they're doing things really hands-on. I also love using your Risely AI coach, Merlin, which Merlin gives that like AI coach to practice important skills right in the palm of your hand or on the computer. So there's different ways to mix it up, but I highly recommend, it's a mix of group lessons, coaching, practice makes progress. So it may take a month, but it's also flexible. And if you have the time, you can also make it, over a quarter, over 6 months, over a year. The key here is real life practice and also using kind of cool tech tools to help you allow the skills to stick as well.
It's an ongoing journey, right? As you keep going.
It is. It absolutely is. Yep. It's not a one and done. It's not an event. That's the key.
Absolutely. Well, so let's talk about the audience, right? Typically, in an organization, you would have managers at different levels, and different level managers would have different challenges. For example, a new manager might struggle more or hesitate more while giving feedback, whereas a senior manager might struggle more with effectively delegating or managing conflicts in their large teams, right?
Yeah.
So one program can't fit all, isn't it? So we need to segment and identify our audience correctly.
100%. Absolutely. So this is where the data comes in, right? We need to really understand who we're working with, who the audience, because over the years, I've heard lots of managers over the years go through programs and other places where they weren't made for them. And then they became like frustrated going, why am I even here? This is not a good investment of my time. So the problem is usually two things. Either the program doesn't match the company's needs, or it teaches skills the managers don't actually use, right? They just are taking stuff off the shelf. They're assuming. The secret to a good manager training program is knowing who it's made for before you even create it. All
Yeah.
right.
Mm,
You want to shape everything around what's taught, how it's taught, how people learn. In today's world, everybody learns a little bit different. So, as
correct.
practitioners, it's important that we know that. For example, a program for, say, healthcare managers, I'm working with some
Mm,
nurses, right,
mm,
would focus on emotional intelligence, that
correct.
understanding how to connect with people, managing long shifts, and
Mm,
dealing with the fact that there's that exhaustion and that stress,
correct.
and how to communicate in a different way. While I work with a lot of retail managers as well, totally different audience.
Yep.
I would recommend focusing more on, how do you handle customers, how do you handle that turnover, working
Yeah.
in a fast-paced setting. Okay, what happens when people call out? That's a
Mm,
big deal too, right? We still have to
okay.
keep that flow. So it's two different audiences, two different programs.
Mm,
And if you take our new manager effectiveness program,
mm,
it's made for people new to management
mm,
or about to become managers, right?
mm,
And so that's
mm,
a very specific niche.
mm.
Everything in that is built around what they need for
Right.
today and the challenges they face. And in the
Right.
end, understanding your audience isn't just helpful, it's
Mm,
absolutely critical to make this program work,
mm,
and to make it stick, and to
mm,
make it a process
mm.
that managers say, oh, I understand the formula to get things
Correct.
done.
Correct. Correct.
Mhm.
Correct. Well, love it. So, how about we actually go down to the mechanics of the blueprint of such a program, right?
Okay.
But for that, typically, I'll take a step back and look at how training has evolved over time,
Hmm.
right? So if you look
Yep.
at training started in a classroom setting, right? Like school, where you have a bunch of people sitting in a classroom and learning, right? But
Yes, absolutely.
it has evolved drastically through workshops, seminars, e-learning
Yep.
has come in, video learning has come in, but there's always a lack of engagement that people feel, right? Then micro-learning came in. We said, you know what, you can't learn in one shot, you have to learn small bits on a daily basis. And the present era of AI has brought in new avenues of hyper-personalization and in the flow of learning for the context that each and every individual faces, right? By the way, that's also the philosophy that Risely is built on. So, when you think of a manager effectiveness program for the new age, what comes to your mind?
I think all of that. I think it's a lot of fun to think about, getting first understanding, the foundation
Hmm,
of what these folks need. And it
hmm,
begins with two things that which has never changed: skills
hmm,
and abilities, right? Like,
hmm,
what do we need to have them do? And it
hmm,
might seem simple, but of course there's much more to it. A lot of the time we only think about the functional skills, like the technical knowledge or the task related abilities managers need to do their jobs.
hmm,
But here's the thing: managers don't work alone. They need their teams to succeed, and
yeah,
their teams need them to support them and guide them.
hmm,
And that's really key. So that's why the people side of management is just as important, if not more. It's just, you think about what managers do, it's about how they lead, it's how they communicate and building
yeah,
connections with their teams. So programs that focus on both the practical skills and the people skills are the ones that really help managers succeed.
hmm,
And that's where a well designed program with all of those bits and pieces that
hmm,
you were talking about can
yeah,
really make a difference. And then it becomes not boring, and it
yeah,
becomes real life, because
correct.
life is not boring. None of us live a boring
Not at
life.
all.
So we
Not
need
at
to
all.
make it practical. We need to make it like nimble and agile, and
Right.
really be able to get them involved really quickly.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
I love it that you said that, Katie, because I've seen that a lot of organizations misunderstand what a manager is really, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
They think that manager is equal to a superior IC, right? Because they were great at being an IC, and hence now they're a manager, so they can actually do their own job as well as order a bunch of other ICs to do their job and achieve something, right? But that's far from the truth, right? Managers are very different, and that's where the mindset shift for even an individual becomes really important to going from like I said, graduating from being an IC to a manager, isn't it? And then not only be responsible for your own results, but also taking the ownership of the entire team's results, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and this is the assumption is that they've graduated with knowledge. However, oftentimes a great individual contributor, it doesn't, they lose that ability to become the individual contributor,
Yeah.
and then they're scared and kind of in a ocean without a float a little bit,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
So the first thing that's super important is understanding what the mindset of the individual looks like. Do they have a
Hmm.
growth mindset? It's a great starting point for everything managers do. That's
Hmm.
why when we create a manager training program for new managers, we focus on the key ingredients that make a real
Hmm.
difference.
Hmm.
The first thing I always think about is building trust and communication.
Yeah.
Managers need to create strong relationships with their team from the get go so
Hmm.
everyone can count on each other. And especially when things get tough, and without good trust, good leadership just isn't possible. All right.
Yeah.
So the second thing is making sure goal setting and performance management is in place. People need to know
Critical.
what to do. Right. It's a huge part of being a manager is setting right goals and
Yep.
intentions to help the
Yep.
team meet them. We need the number one thing about a business is driving results and getting to those results. But most new managers aren't taught how to handle their own
Yep.
performance or their teams. And this is a critical skill to learn. All right. The next thing I really want to focus on with new managers is coaching and feedback. Many managers avoid giving feedback because it
Hmm.
feels uncomfortable, right? I've worked with a lot of folks that are like, nope, I'd rather
Correct.
not do this. And it becomes a
Correct.
bigger issue. And
Correct.
those silent storms become much bigger. So
Killer.
we want to
Killer.
be able to coach their team and give helpful feedback, constructive, positive, critical in the right time to help all of their folks
True.
grow
True.
and also be able to, again, build that trust. And last is
Hmm.
once we have some of that trust and that time together, we're
Hmm.
going to build a high performance team, right? And
Hmm.
this is the biggest goal here. And to make that happen, managers need skills like how do we solve problems, right?
Hmm.
How do we make decisions quickly?
Hmm.
How do we
Hmm.
handle conflicts when they come up, but
Yeah.
also stay calm, right?
Yeah.
And also lead through change. This is
Hmm.
a world that everything is changing at the moment. So, with these
True.
skills, we can really build programs that help new managers succeed and thrive in their roles today, but
True.
also get them ready for the future.
Yeah. This
Mm,
looks like a great mix, Katie. I think it's not only going to set them up for their immediate roles, but even for many many years to come and being an exceptional leader in their journeys, right?
yeah.
So now we know what are they going to learn in this program.
Mhm.
My next question is how, right? How are they going to learn this? What structure, what modes are they going to experience in such a program?
I'm so glad you asked about this. It's, when I build a program, I want to tell you about something I've used for many years, and it's about the 70-20-10 development formula. It's a great way to keep learning fun, hands-on. And again, I talked about this, not boring.
Hmm.
Okay. So here's how it works. 70% of when somebody develops a new skill is on the job learning. So we want to
Hmm.
build in how a new manager learns by working alongside, say, a senior manager or a senior SME to see how things are done in real life and so that they can really put their hands on it. The
Correct.
next 20% is all about coaching.
Hmm.
And this comes from the frontline managers or tools like Risely's Merlin Coaching Wizard, where
Hmm.
you can type in a question or ask a question and you can get a very practical,
Hmm.
pragmatic answer or formula to come on
Hmm.
back. And then
Hmm.
10% is the structured learning, which we're talking about. And
Yeah.
this includes the lessons, the on sites, the e learning. I love using also LinkedIn Learning and
Hmm.
quick learning lessons, but that's where you really get the knowledge. So
Correct.
this also becomes kind of that formula that we want to be able to kind of put together. So
Hmm.
we've included a free blueprint template
Hmm.
in the description of this to help
Hmm.
you build this formula yourself. And
Yep.
so definitely download it because it's very practical and pragmatic and shows you how to do it. But even better, there's a lot of cool ideas in there for adult learners. So
Yep.
what I've included in this template is things like using peer coaching in cohorts, right?
Hmm.
Learning with others and building teams are what we actually want to do. So you want to build that into your program. I
Hmm.
love mentoring, right? Pairing new managers with experienced ones to guide them.
Yep.
Also building in feedback loops, right? Feedback shouldn't just be once in a blue moon.
True.
It's a gift, right? So knowing how to do it. Also using things like surveys or skill checks to see how they're improving is also a good piece. One of my favorite things, and you know this about me, is I love toolkits,
Hmm.
giving managers practical, tactical tools that they can use right away, right?
Yep.
And they can go to their library, they can pick it right out, and they can apply it right away. So there's no guessing game of what did I learn in that program
Hmm.
again?
Hmm.
Um, but that's a really fun way to be able to have a library card in their back pocket. And last, I always have coaching office hours. Okay. And this could be something from a practitioner point, or it could be
Right.
something from a coach's point to have special time for, one-on-one time, or even have a network of people so that they can solve some tricky problems. They can kind of bounce ideas off of each other.
Hmm.
Um, and it keeps again that network growing. So this mix will help you tie into real world situations, make it super practical and
Yep.
super useful, and it becomes a discussion of thought leaders rather than us talking to them and vice versa. It's really inclusive and it's a lot of fun.
Well, this sounds really, really enriching. I wish that, something like this was given to me when I became a new manager.
Isn't it fun, right? And that's, I think, part of
Totally,
why I love to do this, right? Like
totally,
we
totally,
have to build it ourselves. So I
totally.
did.
Awesome. Cool. Now that we know what the program is, right? We know there's a very important piece that we talked about in the last session, which is ROI, because everything
Yes.
is tied out to dollars. Everything is tied out to the returns that organizations spend on such a program, right? So for L&D practitioners who want the right budgets, who want to make it easier for them to get approvals for such programs, ROI becomes a very important discussion
Hmm.
point, right? How do
Yes.
we get started? What metrics should we track? How do we evaluate the success of, let's say, manager effectiveness program for new managers? What is your suggestion?
Really great point. You need to really think about the impact and results right from the start. ROI and numbers can't be something you figure out later. And that's oftentimes we have to flip the script. Okay.
Mhm.
So if you're running a manager training program, tracking success should be a top priority from day one. And without it, you might lose support from both your managers in the program, but also the company leaders who are
Correct.
going to be providing the budget. So here's a couple of things that to keep in mind you can measure. One, you want to think about kind of those KPIs around, confidence levels. How's the performance going, right? Are managers doing better in their jobs? This shows
Mhm.
how much the program is helpful. You want to pick a couple of very specific skill areas around their performance.
Mhm.
Also, oftentimes, organizations will do engagement
Mhm.
scores once a year. And these are going to tell you if the program design and delivery is working, because you can start to build those nuggets into the engagement scores,
Yep.
parallel to what the program's about. Oftentimes people do 360-degree feedback. This is a little bit heavier, costs a little bit more, but it gives you really deeper insight into how others see the manager's progress.
Mhm.
One of the key areas that is super critical is working with your HR team to focus on your retention and
Yep.
your success and your
Always.
succession numbers, right? These metrics connect to HR goals and show how the program is making a long lasting difference. When
Correct.
I work with folks and do talent reviews and talent succession planning, this
Mhm.
is actually where I get my data to see what are the key priorities that our managers are going to need right
Mhm.
now, but also in the next year or so.
Mhm.
And last but not least, you want to think about your business impact. You want to
Mhm.
highlight things like better productivity, who's hitting their goals, who's improving team morale, results that company leaders really care about because it's really impacting the customer. It's
Yeah.
impacting the outcome. So if you want to learn more about this, okay, check out our podcast. I think it was number 3 that we did that
Yep.
we went deeper into measuring ROI for L&D.
Yep.
And the key takeaway, right, is listen for that numbers are your best friends. Use them early to show your program is working and keep everyone on board. And the other suggestion is if you struggle with numbers, one of the things I like to do is partner with the CFO,
Mhm.
partner with the finance team. These guys have
Always.
become my best friends in the years so that we can really connect the dots. And if
Yeah.
you're looking for some coaching from them around that, go
Yep.
to your finance team and ask them, and they will be glad to help you out as well.
Well, I love that. Numbers are your best friend. And even if
Yeah,
you don't have numbers as your best friend, there is someone in the organization that you can make your best friend.
please make your best friend. I promise you,
Right.
this is a very true statement. I can give you names, but the financial team, and again, it's teamwork, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't,
Always.
you don't have to you should not build this in a
Correct.
bubble. And it's the HR team, it's a finance team, it's the L&D team,
Correct.
but it's a team, and that's
Correct.
what makes it great. So
Correct. Absolutely. I think, numbers make you get your approvals and engagement easy. It's
yeah.
not just, a bunch of long paragraphs that you can actually share, but you can actually build a story on why
Yes.
your organization needs this or in what benefit is it gonna get out of it.
You want to really tell a story right off from the pet, right off.
Hmm.
And ignoring it would be a big mistake. And
Correct.
as we wrap up, let me emphasize one thing is that leadership development requires a fresh perspective.
Yeah.
It's about cultivating that right growth mindset and not just checking boxes just to say
Hmm.
you've done it, right? When you get it right, your organization has endless rooms to grow. And that includes that people are going to be raising their hand to want to come into your organization and say, I want to give a fresh perspective and I want to help your organization grow. And that's the secret to success. Great people, great managers are going to only lead
Yeah.
to, a flourishing and an abundant company.
Correct. Well, absolutely. Love it, Katie. So thank you so much for this deep dive and helping us
Welcome.
unveil this leadership development program. Really loved our 4 sessions together,
I
and
did too. Thank you.
it was a roller coaster fun. So, folks, there you have it. This concludes our 4 session series with Katie. But before you go, don't forget to check out the slide deck for this session. It's available to download below. Plus, you'll also find the blueprint for the manager effectiveness program that Katie and Risely we have designed together for new managers. It's up for grabs. You can either download it and run it yourself, or if you need experts and pros to run it for you, you know where to reach out to us. You can contact us on LinkedIn or through our websites, and we'll be happy to set it up for you. Won't you be, Katie? Won't you be happy to set it up?
Absolutely. I can't wait to wait. I love partnering with organizations and can't wait to hear from you. Let us come in and help you out. And we've done this both of us have done this for so many years and it's a lot of fun. And once it gets in flow, we can't wait to hear what you think. So thanks so much
Absolutely.
for joining us, everybody.
Absolutely. Thank you, Katie. Thank you again. Thank you, folks, for joining in. And you folks take care. Till the next time, we'll see you. Bye bye.